Thank you for staying with us until the end of the day. It's a real pleasure to close this inaugural conference of the Hub for Ethics and Emerging Technologies. Before anything else, I want to offer sincere thanks. First, thank you to our panelists and moderators for the quality of your contribution and for the generous spirit of dialogue. Thank you to all participants in the room, especially the early career researchers and students. Your question and your presence are a sign that this work matters. Thank you to our partners and supporters, Erato Center, the Department of Philosophy and Educational Sciences at the University of Turin, the Scuola di Studi Superiori Ferdinando Rossi, the European Digital Humanism Initiative, HEET, and the Institute for Ethics and Emerging Technologies. And of course, thank you to the Collegio Carlo Alberto for hosting us, for the professionalism of the team that makes events like this possible. Finally, let me thank Steven Umbrello and Cristiano Calì. Without her work, this wouldn't have been possible. Today's conference was built around 3 panels. But the underlying question was one: how do we ensure that emerging technologies are developed and deployed in ways that are safe, responsible, and compatible with human dignity and flourishing? If I have to summarize what we learned today in a few sentences, I would say this. First, ethical language is not enough. Principles are important, but principles alone do not change the behavior of organization. The real work begins when we translate ethical commitments into concrete practices like standards, audits, documentation, monitoring, procurement rules, and institutional accountability. Second, the difficult part is not simply identifying values. The difficult part is managing trade-offs. We heard it across domains: accuracy versus explainability, fairness as a plural concept, safety versus autonomy, innovation versus security. These are not problems that can be solved once and for all. They require continuous governance, evaluation, attention, inquiry, reasonable judgment, and responsible decision-making. Third, trust is not a label we can attach to a model. Trust is an institutional achievement. It depends on who deploys a technology, for what purpose, under what oversight, and with what mechanism of redress. In that sense, trustworthy technology is not only an engineering goal, it is also a social and political goal. And this is very important for us. Now, I want to turn to the theme of my short closing institutional remarks: new research avenues in Turin. I will be very direct and strategic, if I can. The point is not only to say that Turin is an interesting place. It's true, but it's not just that. The point is to show how we can build a durable program of research, training, and public engagement all supported by credible partners, aligned with European priorities, and able to produce real deliverables. Why Turin? Turin has a unique combination of strengths. We have a strong humanistic tradition and serious philosophical competence through our Department of Philosophy and Erato Center. We have institutional capacity for excellence in education through SST, which trains students with interdisciplinary skills and a global outlook. We have a European framework and network through HEET, which explicitly links digital humanism to democracy and sovereignty. And we have an international platform and intellectual orientation through HEET, which brings a unique perspective focused on responsible innovation and the distribution of technological benefits. Together, these anchors make it possible to pursue a research agenda that is both rigorous and actionable. Let me propose 4 concrete research avenues, each with a clear direction, a founding logic, and deliverables that we can realistically produce. Avenue 1, assurance, governance, and ethics to procurement pipeline. A large part of responsible AI fails because ethics remain upstream while decision-making happens downstream. In procurement offices, in product teams, in leadership incentives, and in deployment settings, we need research that connects ethical analysis with the operational realities of organization. In Turin, we can build a program that studies and designs practical assurance mechanism, risk registers that are meaningful, impact assessments that do not become bureaucracy, audit frameworks that track outcomes rather than slogans, and post-deployment monitoring that detects drift and harm early. The deliverables here are very clear. With 24 months, we can produce 1, a Turin Assurance Pack that includes templates for procurement requirements, documentation standards, and monitoring plans. 2, at least 1 pilot case study with an institutional partner. 3, a policy brief aimed at public sector procurement and governance bodies. This is a research avenue that aligns strongly with European and national priorities on trustworthy AI, and it is fundable because it produces actionable tools and evidence. Avenue 2, digital humanism as an operational program. Digital humanism is a powerful idea, but it becomes meaningful only when it shapes design and policy choices. The question is, what does human-centered mean in operational terms? What do we measure? What do we require? How do we test whether a digital system strengthens dignity and agency? Through HEET, we already have a European network committed to this agenda. Turin can be a site where digital humanism becomes a practical framework, combining normative work in philosophy with empirical evaluation methods from the social sciences. Here, the deliverables can include: 1, a set of operational indicators for dignity and agency in specific contexts, such as public services or education technologies. 2, evaluation protocols that combine qualitative and quantitative methods. And 3, public-facing outputs, short, readable briefs that translate research into guidance for policymakers, industry, and civil society. This is also a strong educational opportunity. Through SSST and our department teaching programs, we can train a new generation of professionals who can speak both ethics and implementation. Avenue 3, human enhancement and moral enhancement as governance problems. We saw that the enhancement debate often becomes polarized, either enthusiasm for progress or fear of dystopia. Our research avenue should be different. We should treat enhancement as a governance challenge. How do we protect autonomy while avoiding coercion and new form of social pressure? How do we ensure it's meaningful? How do we prevent enhancement from becoming a tool of exclusion? Turin is well positioned here because of Eratos' strengths in philosophical anthropology, applied ethics, and the analysis of technological imaginaries. This can connect directly with contemporary debates about education, labor and social policy. Concerning this third avenue, the deliverables could include: 1, a comparative framework for enhancement readiness, how to assess ethical risk and social impact before adoption. 2, an edited collection or special journal issue that integrates philosophical, legal, and policy perspective. And 3, targeted workshops that brings researchers into dialogue with regulators and practitioners. This work is foundable because enhancement technologies, biotech, neurotech, and algorithmic systems that shape behavior are already policy relevant, and the demand for governance frameworks is immediate. Avenue 4, quantum ethics and anticipatory governance without hype. Quantum technologies present a special challenge. The development curve is uncertain, but the stakes are high, especially in security, cryptography, and strategic competition. The problem here is that governance often arrives too late after infrastructures are set. Turing can contribute by building an anticipatory governance program, mapping dual-use pathways, identifying standard-setting opportunities, and developing ethical guidance that is realistic, not only speculative. Concerning this last avenue, we can imagine deliverables such as: 1, a quantum governance map describing actors, levers, and likely deployment pathways. 2, a short series of expert consultation or Delphi-style workshops. And 3, a policy brief designed for European institutions and national agencies. This is likewise foundable because it aligns with resilience and security priorities at the European level, and it produces concrete, forward-looking guidance. Now, what does HEET do next with these avenues? Our intention is not to create a one-off event. Our intention is to build a program. In practice, this means small workshops that produce working papers and policy briefs, and collaborative grant applications with partners in Europe and beyond. We also intend to use the outputs of this conference, recordings and edited short clips, to extend the impact beyond this room and to make it visible as a serious hub for responsible innovation. So I will close with a simple invitation. If you are a researcher looking for a place to develop a project on ethics and emerging technologies, we invite you to connect with us through Erato Center and our Department of Philosophy. If you are a student or early career scholar, we invite you to see Turin and SST as part of your pathway. If you are a policymaker, civil society actor, or industry partner, we invite you to treat HEET and HEET as platform for constructive dialogue and practical tools. And if you share a vision of technology that is oriented to human flourishing, we invite you to connect with IEET and the wider network around it. A good conference does not end with agreement. It ends with clearer questions, sharper responsibilities, and new collaborations. My hope is that Turin can be a place where these collaborations become durable and where ethical reflection becomes real institutional practices. Thank you again, and I wish you a safe journey home. Thank you.